You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Healthcare, racism, and reparations. A few of the issues on display during last night's Democratic presidential debate. It was the first one of two. Tonight is the second night. It's on CNN, which means I ain't watching. I was actually busy last night at the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Golf Classic, having a hell of a lot more fun than sitting around watching rapid-fire questions go out where people can't even answer the question. So, for those of you who didn't watch like me, roll the damn highlights.
How do you convince primary voters that you'd be the best nominee to take on President Trump and heal the racial divide in America?
We'll call his racism out for what it is and also talk about its consequences. It doesn't just offend our sensibilities to hear him say, send her back about a member of Congress because she's a woman of color, because she's a Muslim American. It doesn't just offend our sensibilities when he calls Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals or seeks to ban all Muslims from the shores of a country that is comprised of people from the world over, from every tradition of faith. It is also changing this country. Hate crimes are on the rise, every single one of the last 3 years. On the day that he signed his executive order attempting to ban Muslim travel, the mosque in Victoria, Texas, was burned to the ground. So we must not only stand up against Donald Trump and defeat him in this next election, but we must also ensure that we don't just tolerate or respect our differences, but we embrace them. That's what we've learned in El Paso, Texas, my hometown, one of the safest cities in the United States of America, not despite, but because it's a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees. We will show that our diversity is our strength in my administration.
Congressman O'Rourke, given your record, how can you convince African Americans that you should be the Democratic nominee?
As an urban mayor serving a diverse community, the racial divide lives within me. I'm not saying that I became mayor and racism or crime or poverty ended on my watch. But in our city, we have come together repeatedly to tackle challenges like the fact that far too many people were not getting the help they needed in their housing, and so we directed it to a historically underinvested African-American neighborhood. Right now, in the wake of a police-involved shooting, our community is moving from hurting to healing by making sure that the community can participate in things like revising the use of force policy and making sure there are community voices on the Board of Safety that handles police matters. I proposed a Douglas plan to tackle this issue nationally because mayors have hit the limits of what you can do unless there is national action. Systemic racism has touched every part of American life, from housing to health to home ownership. If you walk into an emergency room and you are black, your reports of pain will be taken less seriously. If you apply for a job and you are black, you are less likely to be called just because of the name on the resume. It's why I've proposed that we do everything from investing in historically redlined neighborhoods to build black wealth in home ownership.
Thank you, Mayor.
To supporting entrepreneurship for black
Thank
Americans.
you very much. How are you going to combat the rise of white supremacy?
We need to call out white supremacy for what it is, domestic terrorism, and it poses a threat to the United States of America. We live in a country now where the president is advancing environmental racism, economic racism, criminal justice racism, healthcare racism. The way we do better is to fight back and show something better. So I have a plan, for example, on education that says we have to build a better education system for all our kids, but we've got to acknowledge what's happened on race. So my plan has universal tuition-free college for all of our kids, but also increases the Pell Grants and levels the playing field by putting $50 billion into historically black colleges and universities. It cancels student loan debt for 95% of the kids with student loan debt and helps close the black-white wealth gap in America.
If Medicare for All is enacted, there are more than 600,000 union members here in Michigan who would be forced to give up their private health care plans. Now, I understand that it would provide universal coverage, but can you guarantee those union members that the benefits under Medicare for All will be as good as the benefits that their representatives, their union reps, fought hard to negotiate?
Well, two things. They will be better because Medicare for All is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs for senior citizens. It will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all,
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I
Congressman.
wrote the damn bill. Second of all, many of our union brothers and sisters, nobody more pro-union than me up here, are now paying high deductibles and co-payments. And when we do Medicare for all, instead of having the company putting money into health care, they can get decent wage increases, which they're not getting today.
So look, let's be clear about this. We are the Democrats. We are not about trying to take away health care from anyone. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. And we should stop using Republican talking points in order to talk with each other about how to best provide that health care.
Are you also, quote, with Bernie on Medicare for All when it comes to raising taxes on middle-class Americans to pay for it?
Giant corporations and billionaires are going to pay more. Middle-class families are going to pay less out of pocket for their health care. The basic profit model of an insurance company is taking as much money as you can in premiums and pay out as little as possible in health care coverage. That is not working for Americans across this country.
Thank you, Senator.
Medicare for All will fix that, and that's why I'll
Thank you,
fight
Senator.
for it.
All right, y'all. Hey, we back on TV. All right, y'all. Well, tonight, 10 more candidates take the stage in Detroit. I ain't gonna be watching. I think I'm gonna watch Queen Sugar. I'm gonna get caught up on Missing City on the Hill. And there's a couple other shows I haven't seen. I've been traveling on the road. All right, so let's go to our panel and talk about this here. We got A. Scott Bolden, former chair of National Bar Association, PAC. Monique Pressley, legal analyst and crisis manager. Dr. Cleo, Manago, socio-political analyst. All right, any of y'all waste your time watching that last night?
Could you show a little more enthusiasm?
Nope. It's the second damn debate. It's going to be a debate a month. It's a bunch of people on the damn stage that don't need to be there, okay? I need Bullock to take his ass home. I need Marianne Williamson. Y'all can hype up all y'all want to. Ain't no one in hell she going to be the candidate.
That's right.
Ain't no one in hell she going to be in the top 5. She going to be in the top 10. She can go home. Hickenlooper, he can go home. Gillibrand, she can go home. Beto, he can go home. Let's see, who else? Who can go home? De Blasio, he can go home. Let's see here, who else? There's about 25 of them. And so, basically, about 15 of y'all need to go ahead and go home. I'm just being straight up, okay? So, I keep telling y'all, I don't have any interest in any of these debates. You know why? Because I'm going to pay attention on October 1st. So let all y'all know that. Now, here's the deal. It's based out in Houston. Matter of fact, no, I take that back. I'll go ahead and I'll pay attention to one at TSU because it's in Houston, okay, on a historically black college campus. But at the end of the day, we know campaign doesn't start until Labor Day, okay? So there's a whole bunch of people who are on stage who are taking up time, who are taking up space, like Delaney. Go sit your ass down. You ain't going to be president. You're not. You ain't going to get close. Sit down. Elizabeth Warren open up hashtag team whip that ass on you last night, and it was embarrassing. But the other deal is all this sort of stuff back and forth. And also, let me just say it, okay? I'm not watching debate on CNN. I'm not watching some rapid fire ass. Okay, quick. No, it's policy. It's the future of the country. This ain't no damn rapid fire quiz. This ain't no quiz show. And what the hell was up with that damn opening? What the hell's up with that? See, my problem with these people, they are treating this like a game. It reminds me when I was on CNN doing the healthcare debate and the Olympics was going on. And Will Blitzer turned to me, Roland, if this was the Olympics, who gets the gold, the silver, the bronze? I said, this ain't no damn game. It's healthcare. What has happened is mainstream media is basically telling you, y'all are so stupid, you're so dumb, we can only talk about these things as if it's the WWE or a boxing match. It's not. It's the future of the country against an absolutely crazy fool. And here's the other piece, the day after last night's debate. How many judges is Mitch McConnell pushing forward? I keep telling y'all on this show, okay? Y'all can run around here, and y'all can holler about reparations, y'all can holler about health care, y'all can holler about all these different things. What you better understand is every single time somebody wants to file a lawsuit or challenge a law or go after one of these cops or deal with education, they're going to go to the federal courts. And if Trump is allowed to put on, if he gets reelected, that means by the end of 8 years, literally 400 plus judges will have been put on the federal bench. You better understand what's going on. All right. What are y'all thoughts? Anybody go ahead.
You know,
Anybody go ahead. Don't matter. I'm going to get a drink of water.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it was somewhat entertaining hearing Marianne Williamson and her tangent on reparations and on the 40 acres and a mule issue and how she believed that we should get reparations. It's rare that you hear that kind of language from a...
Well, so what? Is she not going to be president?
Well, I agree with that.
About it,
I agree with that.
Why waste my time?
Hold on. Cleo, go ahead.
I think it's a good idea, or has potential.
By the way, nice shirt.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
What?
What about me?
It's quite colorful. Go ahead, Cleo.
Oh, I think that...
If y'all wear damn dashiki, I'll compliment yours as well. Go, except
we know I ain't getting complimented.
Go ahead, Cleo.
Scott, we have a different... See, my perspective is always based on what black sensibilities, what black people hear, what black people see, and what we actually have opportunity to examine. The issue of reparations, which I believe in, if no one has noticed, has not been talked about on these levels. It has not been part of the psyche, the imagination, part of how we view in terms of the possibilities for us in this country. And even though these people probably will not win, I think it's interesting to hear the conversation occurring, and that the issue has been tapped into our psyche as something that could occur. It came out that I hadn't heard these statistics that supposedly 73% of the people surveyed, black, were supportive of reparations. So being someone who believes reparations should happen, I think that's important that those types of ideas are running around the psyche to consider no matter who becomes the president of the United States. And I agree with Roland's analysis that this is kind of a WWE.
Yeah, but it doesn't move the ball forward in any way. The reality is,
true.
What Roland's talking about is, come October, there'll probably be 10 candidates. That's really when we ought to be paying attention, and that's really where we're going to have to peel the onion back even more. Not just the 10. You're going to get down to 3 or 4 maybe when the delegates and when the primaries start.
No, it'll still be 10.
Probably not.
It may come down. What's going to happen is they'll progressively drop out. But the reality is this year, you got Iowa. But here's a piece. When you get to, I think it's around, California's early voting, I think starts in like November. The whole equation has changed. Also, the map is going to be different. It used to be all about Iowa and New Hampshire. Now, with Nevada, with South Carolina, now the other states are moving up. Again, the whole point I'm making is this, again, folks, is you have to understand what's going on here. And I'm also looking at history. At this very point in 2016, Monique, Jeb Bush was at the top, Donald Trump was at the bottom. At this very point in 2007, Obama was down 20, 25 points to Hillary Clinton. But what happened? There was a debate in October. Listen to what I'm trying to tell y'all. Where the question was asked to Hillary Clinton about driver's licenses for undocumented workers. She flubbed the answer. That opened the door for Obama, and that's how he was able to close the gap, and things changed in November and December to the primary in January. But all I'm saying is, you got all these different people, and they're all fighting for literally 15 seconds and 20 seconds. The question is, are you getting substantive conversation in these debates the way they're set up? And also, I had Glenda Carr on Tom Jones Morning Show today, Higher Heights, and she's also critical of these networks, that you've had 2 debates so far and not a single black woman as a moderator. Your thoughts on these debates?
Yes, all of these men surrounding me are as wrong can be. So trust black women. That's my theme for the year anyway. Yeah, including the one that's about to debate tonight, and please do watch. I agree with you, Cleo, because in my lifetime, and I'm almost at 49 years, I've never seen a white woman. And by the way, some respect to Marianne Williamson, the woman who has enough scholarly influence and writing influence for the likes of Madiba Nelson Mandela to quote her work, right, about not playing small because my light is too great to be put under a bushel. We all know the speech. We even think he wrote it. No, it was that woman who last night was on the stage saying, really, the number should be at $1 trillion for reparations, but 200 to 500 billion is something that she thinks should be politically feasible and can be done. No, we haven't heard anyone on a stage say that, but it's not just that we haven't heard anyone say that, it's that it was coming from someone who was not black and was not male, and the 2 quotes of last night that got most searched and most repeated and most duplicated were Warren's quote, which I'm sure we'll hear. Don't you interrupt me, Scott, because that's how we get in this trouble in the first place. I hear you doing it.
Nobody cares.
And now you're
when
talking
she drops
out loud.
Out of it,
and now,
nobody will remember her raising a question or those quotes.
I said don't interrupt me, and you still do it, and that is the madness.
For her,
and he's still talking.
The reparations still won't move forward.
Monique, come on. Okay. Scott, stop. Be quiet.
Thank you, host.
Go.
So, political and civic engagement means ignore him, ignore him, ignore him. If you're right now, you got kids, they're sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, they're going to be voting for the first time. Every single time a debate happens, listen to the things that the people are saying. Like I was listening last night. Yes, I was on Twitter complaining, not because it was a waste of time, but because they didn't have enough time. Because what Marianne Williamson is saying, yes, she's going to fall off. What Buttigieg is saying, and I can't stop,
Finish, come on.
Whatever he's saying, yes, they're going to fall off. But you're supposed to take that information that these mainstream candidates aren't talking about, and you're supposed to superimpose it on them. You take your community organization, your civic organization, and when they narrow the group down, those are the things that become your demands, because those things that they're offering are righteous.
That's true.
People can't find some of these arguments on their own.
That's right.
These are people who at least have enough money to make it to the second debate. No, it's not irrelevant. Hell yes, it matters.
So here's why I say. Here's why. Here's my problem. Here's my problem. First of all, hey, I'm talking.
Right.
We waste time.
I'm talking.
Astro.
I'm talking. Now, here's why I say it's irrelevant. How many questions came up dealing with education? We had the sister on the other day talking about the survey of black women. She talked about the 3 top things. How many questions came up dealing with education? How many questions came up dealing with the issue of voter suppression? Dealing with how they're going to attack that as well. How many of those came up? The reason I'm saying that is because what you have to understand, folks who are watching, the people who are controlling the debates, it's not the Democratic National Committee. It's not the candidates. The debates are structured for the networks to boost their stars. It's all about, hey, who can we get to fight? Who can we get to go at it? Who can we get to do a gotcha moment? Mm-hmm. It's actually not about information. That, to me, is why it drives me crazy.
But that's not
watching
what happened.
Just give me 1 second. He ain't going to interrupt. You ain't going to interrupt me. What this is about is, it's about the drama. It's about the drama. Because what has happened is, and this is why Trump is president, it's because all of these networks, Les Moonves said it. He said, Trump may be bad for America, but he's great for CBS.
Exactly.
It's the drama. And that's what drives me crazy. It's not about the future. Scott, make your point. Each one will make another point, and then I'm going to a break. I'm going to my story in Mississippi. Scott.
Just want to make a quick point. The reason it's a waste of time is because you had 10 people on stage, and probably 8 of them, no, maybe 5 or 6 of them, aren't going anywhere. They're taking up space, not because you want to put somebody else there, but because the amount of fundraising, the amount of energy, the amount of resources going into the primaries and going into preparation for these debates is just a complete waste of time. Those lesser candidates may be making some very valid points, but we can make valid points with holding the other individuals accountable who are polling higher and who are having much more money. That's why it was a waste. That's why you shouldn't necessarily be watching it. I watched, but I'll be honest with you, but for that debate, it didn't change my life. I didn't learn anything more about reparations, and we're no closer to getting reparations now than we were before Marianne Williamson made her statements on national.
Cleo?
I believe, and this is similar to what she just mentioned in terms of some essences of it, I believe that these debates also create a narrative that if it wasn't for the debates, that narrative wouldn't be out in the world. or in this society.
Wouldn't be on national TV, at least.
Right. And I believe that in terms of possibility, the discussion on reparations on that platform does potentially plant seeds in black minds and other minds that this should happen. This is a possibility.
Which is correct, because if you go back to 1984 and 1988, when Reverend Jackson ran, he was bringing up issues the other candidates were not talking about, and that was what was happening there. Go ahead.
And he was a viable candidate, too.
Right.
Go ahead.
So,
with lots of delegates.
I have seen a few debates in my life, and that has never happened before. And young people are putting their minds, I'm talking about black people and others, are putting their minds around, particularly hearing from the mainstream media that 73% of black people support reparations. That's a brand new consideration in the psyche of black folks to make sure it happens. Also, I think it's important to understand that black people see that white people are trying to be blackologists, there were some questions that were specific to black people, and that they look kind of strange and foolish, being that they benefit from white supremacy and privilege, talking like as if they're concerned about black people. And I think black people need to be able to see what they can see through. Well, you can't see through it and analyze it as problematic if it's not there to see.
Monique?
I agree, and I'm going to use this like the same extemporaneous amount of time they had last night. 3 things. Yes, when she said that, it was important to put that energy out and put that word out, but it also created an important challenge, because then they immediately went to Sanders, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
She's saying we're entitled to $200 to $500 billion, but it really should be $1 trillion. And then, oh boy, comes talking about, I'm with the Clyburn plan. Let's talk about education. Let's talk about housing. And I'm like, against your 2 to 5.
Which, by the way, hold on. Oh, you're going to finish your point, but here's why I'm
reclaiming my time.
No, you're not reclaiming. No, you're not reclaiming your time, because if you can explain the Clyburn Amendment to the audience, go right ahead.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, so Clyburn's plan for reparations involved, and I will involve
Actually,
you all
Clyburn's plan
too.
is not for reparations, but go ahead.
Yes, it was. It was, well, not for reparations, meaning pay, for reparations through other forms, which were education, health care, and property transfer.
That's not what it is.
And it was supposed to be a reduction in taxes.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, the Clyburn Amendment is this. He wants, every time there's a federal bill, for 10% of the federal funds to go to those counties where 20% or more of the people have lived below the poverty line for at least 30 years.
But it's not money.
Here's the problem. It is money. Okay. It is money. I'm telling you. How do I know? Because I interviewed Clyburn. I have been discussing the Clyburn Amendment for at least 9 years. He tried to get the Obama administration to sign on to that to make it a part of the bill, but they wouldn't do it. Here's the other issue, though. This is why Bernie Sanders is wrong by continuing to invoke the Clyburn Amendment in this context. There are 400-plus counties that qualify for this designation. Again, 20% of the people have lived below the poverty line for at least 30 years. Yeah. 2/3 of those counties are in Republican congressional districts.
In the South.
Precisely. So that's why when Williamson talks about reparations and Sanders shifts to the Clyburn Amendment, they don't go together, because with the Clyburn Amendment is actually 2/3 will be going to poor white people. Now you can continue.
And what I thought, hearing them and seeing the contrast and listening to what people said later today, was people noticed the difference, right? It seemed like a huge, not just pivot, but punt for him. And I personally, I'm not against Sanders. Like I said, whatever Democrat comes out or non-Democrat who comes out, being Sanders, I'm going to vote for them as opposed to Trump. But they could see she was aiming for something that would actually repair this huge breach.
Absolutely.
He was not. Second, Buttigieg might not make it, right? But
you ain't gonna make it when you polling 0.2% among black people.
And that's fine. But the reason why it mattered last night is because there may be young, white, black, Latino males or females who are gay or homosexual or lesbian or queer or anywhere in that stratum, who are looking at this man who's the first openly gay male married man to run for president and make it to a second debate, and thinking that that is something that is available for them. So if they were able to see that last night, maybe 2 terms, 3 terms from now, they'll make it a little further, like the way we did with the guy, the dark-haired guy with the skinny ear, the big ears, who ended up winning.
Well, actually,
so,
but the difference between those two is the guy who won was a state senator, a United States senator, where this guy was a mayor of a 150 people town, 150,000 people, and here's the other deal. Here's the other deal. It's real simple. You ain't winning nothing if you polling 0 or 2% among black people.
Have a chance.
All right, y'all.
It only matters.
Okay, here's the deal. Y'all keep talking about that debate. I'm done. We're good.
I guess it's your show.
Yes, it is. And it's like, okay, because you know what? It's going to be another one next month. Then in October,
There's
November,
one in
December.
September.
I know that. I said next month.
This is still July.
Yeah, this August. This August.
Yeah,
it's whatever month you want it to be.
What the hell is tomorrow? What's tomorrow?
Astro.
What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow is not today.
What's tomorrow?
July today.
He meant it's around the corner.
What's tomorrow? No, it ain't around the corner.
No, he didn't. He
It's
didn't mean
tomorrow.
that at all.
In less than 6 damn hours.
That's around the corner.
You should know the hell I'm talking about. I'm going to drink your water. I'm going to a break. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, you've heard me talk a lot about marijuanastop.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We have all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by the New Frontier data estimates the global cannabis market at over $340 billion. We know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that and now making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. Folks, they need land to grow in all the plants. And this is not rocket science. It's pretty simple. It's just an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants. And they're black-owned. That's right. They are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. Go to, and of course, the folks at 420 Real Estate have done something special for our Roland Martin Unfiltered fans. Originally, it was $500, the minimum investment, but they've lowered that to $200 only for the folks who watch this show. So you can participate by losing $200 up to $10,000. Again, a $340 billion global industry that is still growing. And you can participate with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org, marijuanastock.org. You can get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.